to the podcast. Today, it's an early morning, but again, the content will be excellent. As always, we are joined by my good friend Robert Samborsky of Apollon Nutrition and new man on the block. Robert and I have been
Hello.
following him. I feel like this gentleman has come out of nowhere, very similar to our mentalities, does not disrespectful, but does not care, speaks the truth, and has a lot of integrity for the short time that we've seen him. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Pranav from
No.
Texas.
Yep.
Pranav, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you two doing?
Good,
It's not
good.
morning.
Man, we are good. So first off, thank you again for joining us. I know you're kind of
Thank you
new
for
to the
having me.
scene, but give us a little background. I know most people use a lot of supplements, but what made you decide to start doing reviews of supplements?
Yeah, so I actually started working out in August of 2024, so it's been 2 years now. So I started getting into the gym. I was 15 at the time, and then around a month into the gym, I got my first type of pre-workout. So I don't know if you can see, but it was a C4, type of C4, pretty much like everyone's first type of pre-workout. But that was my first introduction to pre-workouts. And then after that, I'm big on social media, so TikTok, Echovision was making big waves at least. So I started getting some of their stuff. And then around like, I'd say a year into the gym, I started like branching out and exploring other supplement companies. So I found out about NutriCartel and Garage Gym homie Ari. He was one of the big guys that I watched a lot in this time because I loved watching his reviews because they were so energetic. They gave kind of a decent foundation of what the labels were made up of. So I love watching his stuff, and he was affiliated with NutriCartel, so I started getting a lot of my like pre-workouts from NutriCartel, and yeah, I started branching out into other brands like Extremist Cartel, and what else do I have up here? Yeah, like Dark Labs too, and Centurion Labs. So I mean, now like they aren't like that good of pre-workouts, I'd say, but back then, when I was first starting out, they were like crack to me. Um, and then yeah, so I started branching out to those brands, and then I'd say around mid of last year, I found out about Apollon through Hooligan V50.
Okay.
So for Rob's 50th birthday, the special edition Hooligan. So I got that, and then because I looked at the label, I had a decent kind of foundation or like knowledge for what makes up a good pre-workout, like the dosing, but it wasn't that in depth. Like I didn't know the mechanisms behind how these ingredients worked. I just knew the dosing for them. So I saw the label and I was like, wow, this is pretty loaded. Dosing's phenomenal. It has very premium ingredients. So I got that, and I mean, I loved it. And one of my biggest regrets was because when I found out that it was limited edition, I was like, oh, I gotta save this for like the good workouts. So I still have like 3 scoops worth of Hooligan V50 in there, but it oxidized pretty bad. So it's like I can't have it anymore. But that's one of my biggest regrets with that because it's one of my favorite pre-workouts. And yeah, after that, I mean, since then. I've been getting a lot of like other brands, but I'd say around the start of this year, I started coming back to Apollon. Once I found out like their Instagram and how they're active, and yeah, started getting. So I got like Time Cop, and then what else did I get? Yeah, Ronin, right, Ronin. So I got Ronin, and oh, I loved Ronin. I'd say it's my favorite pre-workout like ever for me at this time, and that's kind of when I started going to like my stim junkie phase. I really loved stims, so I dailied that. So I finished a whole tub in like less than a month,
Oh, jeez.
which,
Ronin?
which is
Wait a minute, you polished the whole bottle of Ronin in 1 month?
in less than a month. Yeah, I was
Jesus.
dailying that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, I'm a big stim guy. So that's one of my favorite pre-workouts, I'd say, of all time, at least till now. But yeah, I got Ronin, and then after that I got Time Cop. So I love Time Cop as well. Daily that finished that in less than a month. But yeah, since then I found out about Apollon's Instagram, and then I started talking to Rob. And I wasn't making any reviews back then. I was just kind of making like some pre-workout content, just some basic stuff. But then I made my first pre-workout review on Time Cop, which is around a month and a half ago. And then since then, I've been trying to push out more reviews, especially with pre-workouts that I've tried. and then just newer stuff that I've been trying as well.
Robert, we talked about this when you and I hung out last weekend, that I feel like this year Time Cop almost arrived. And I don't mean that negatively. I feel like Time Cop has always been good over the years, but I feel like this year you're almost at like hooligan status. Like, what do you attribute that to?
You know what? I think that I mean, we were always known for our formulas. I mean, everybody knew that, we load our formulas. And TJ just posted a review about bare knuckle, which kind of like, I mean, obviously it was a positive review, but there was one aspect that kind of didn't sit very well with me, and that was constantly he mentioned it a few times that it's overdosed. And I was like, but it's not overdosed. It's properly dosed. That's a difference because what you're saying. Because let's be honest, overdosing. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not. I mean, overdosing is not really associated with anything good. Too little of something is not good, but too much of something can be harmful too. So, if you see 6,400 milligram of beta alanine, it's not overdosed. It's high dose, but it's definitely not high. It still falls under the same, what is it? I believe 1.6 to 6.4 range. So I don't think that it's overdosed. And we were always known for that. But unfortunately, there were two things that I have to admit were pretty accurate, and that's flavors. I mean, our flavors, especially like when it comes to pre workouts, were not that great. And I know, like, especially the three of us will be the first to attest that flavors are not that important or shouldn't be that important when it comes to a pre workout because, I mean, you just fucking down it as a shot and you're good to go. It's not something that you initially were meant to enjoy. It's something that's supposed to work, and that's pretty much it. But nevertheless, I mean, the criticism was justified because they were not that good. And I think this is where you enter, Masha. And I wouldn't say there are flavors when it comes to pre-workouts. They absolutely mind-blowing delicious, but they definitely good tasting. I mean, if assassin tastes good, I mean, what else do you want? Um,
Yeah.
Protein, of course. I mean, we have it definitely down. I mean, EAs and Masha's Peach, those are hard to compete. They're just absolutely delicious. But that was a good criticism. And number three is number two, I guess, is marketing. We didn't really aggressively market our products like say Ecovision or those bigger brands. We kind of said our products will speak for themselves, and they do. But nevertheless, you do have to have some kind of a marketing, and I think that this is where we stepped up tremendously in the last year or so. So Time Cop was
Yep.
always kind of had like a cult following, and plus, don't forget, we would release Time Cop only once every 2 years, so everybody was
Hmm.
anticipating it. But it was more targeted towards guys like Pranav. I mean, that's our market because he knows stims, and it's not only stims. I mean, it's overall a phenomenal pre-workout that is absolutely loaded with not just stims. But this year was last year, I guess, because we released it, I believe, this version, the latest version, in May of 2025. We just re-released it this year once again, something that we've never done. But the only marketing that was done really was through me. I mean, I would
Yep.
post on stories nonstop that time copy is coming, like on a daily basis. And I was actually joking to the team where I said, like, I would take stupid videos, like really, really stupid videos on Instagram with like Russian drunks dancing, and I would post it and I would say, "Oh, look, Russians are celebrating Time Cop's arrival." I would do something like
Remember
really
that?
stupid. Yeah, it was really stupid, but people liked it, and I was like, okay, they definitely like it. They even reposting it, so I kept just posting Russian guys dancing, and being goofy and being drunk and stupid. I was like, oh look, they high on Time Cop. And I kind of entertained myself with that, which to me that was funny. But somehow it started spreading, and instead of just like advertising a week ahead of time, I was pushing that product for about 2 months.
Yeah.
Once it arrived, the label was better, the taste was better, everything about it was better, and obviously the performance, it just took off. We had guys at the gym, and I'm not joking, that would buy cases. A guy would come, I mean, case comes six in a case, and he would be like, oh, it's a limited edition, I'm getting six of those. So he would get actually a case, and we had a few of those. And I think that we had limited release. There wasn't a lot in inventory, and it's an expensive product to manufacture. So within a week, it was gone. And then people started sending DMs, like, it's like backed by popular demand, I guess.
Yeah.
Please re-release it. Please re-release it. So we re-released it again. Boom! Again, 1 week, it was gone. So we said, well, initially, because we released it in 2025, we were supposed to release next version in 2027. But this is the first time that we brought the same version again early this year. And now we said, okay, let's do it for Halloween one more time. I mean, supply and demand, or demand and supply in this case. So we're releasing it again at the end of October. But I said, like, it's not my style to release the same formula. I hate doing that. So we made certain tweaks, like a little bit of tweaks, like very, very minor, but you definitely gonna feel them. Different look, this time two flavors, and it's coming in October. And I said, I mean, it seems like it became like it has like a cult following now.
Yeah.
People want Time Cop. I mean, at the end of the day, we are running a business. I mean, it is a business. So why not give people what they want? They want Time Cop, we'll bring it. It was a little bit difficult because at the end of September, we're dropping Hooligan 7 and obviously, Hooligan 8, I'm sorry, and everybody is waiting for it. But and a month later is going to be Time Cop. But that's where you enter somebody like Pranav, who can actually do a review, and he can explain to people the difference, that it's not the same pre-workout. Those
Yeah.
are very, very that's the reason why I kept fighting and saying reviewers are idiots, because they don't know the difference. And they don't care, as long as they get the kickback, or as long as they get paid, they will promote anything. And that's why every pre workout sounds like it's the same. It's the same focus, same energy, same pump, and then they focus only on the one thing, flavors. Like, okay, you fucking idiots, it's just stupid. You should be able to tell the difference between Hooligan and Time Cop, and you should explain to the consumer why maybe Hooligan is not for me, but maybe it is for you. And this is where a good reviewer comes in. And this is the reason why I really support what this kid does, because he's a kid and he does a better job than guys twice his age, if not more, because he actually cares and he explains, and he goes after everybody. He went after me. He questioned me on Alpha GPC and CDP Colleague. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? But to me, that was impressive. And the nice twist about it, he does it in a respectful manner. He doesn't get into the war. He doesn't get into insults. He completely ignores it. He has more maturity than I do, because I would fucking lose my shit already. I was like, okay, this is something that people, can benefit from. And I offered to send him product for free. He goes to me, no, I'll pay for it. I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah.
He's just built different. He's just built different. And then I see, like, okay, he went after me, but we talked about it. I explained to him, and it was very, very nice. But then I see, like, everybody's going after the smaller brands. you know this guy went after Gorilla Mind. I'm like, he's out of his mind.
Yes.
I was like, he's out of his mind. But to me, that's respect.
Yeah,
Another
thank you. I
question.
mean, that's kind of what I want to do. Just be straightforward, because there's a lot of predatory misinformation in this kind of supplement industry, because a lot of people are just bought out. They don't have a soul. They just want to do it for the money, and they just kind of just do it for no reason. They don't have any purpose behind what they do except for money.
Pranav, I have a question, and please be honest, okay?
Mhm.
Robic, if you don't know Robic, he does, and Robic, I love when I say this. He comes across scary, intimidating. People know he's a Muay Thai fighter. Obviously, the Russian Ukrainian accent is also scary. Now, when you were trying to question him, like, did you sit for a minute? Like, do I want to really engage this motherfucker? Or were you just like, I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and blast him. Not blast him, but you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh no, I didn't care at all, because I'm not the kind of guy to like back away if I have any questions, because I'm the kind of person who wants to learn. The reason I'm where I am right now is because I had the curiosity. Whenever I wasn't sure about something, I asked questions so I can learn and be educated for that in the future.
Yeah.
And Rob, being who he is, like I knew that he was super intelligent in these kinds of things. And even if I was wrong in what I was trying to ask, I wanted to kind of have that reassurance that what I was asking, or for what I was asking in the future.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, keep in mind, he did not approach me in any aggressive or negative way.
Yeah.
He actually basically, I remember that he goes to me like the difference and between alpha gpc and cdp choline and including them together and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, I never claimed to be a genius who knows everything. I explained to him from my perspective, and then I referenced Robert Shinetsky, and I told him that the difference and why not to include both of them together. And he was like, oh, thank you for explaining it to me. He was like, that's what I really enjoyed. He was like super, super respectful, but he questions things. I mean, in the last, what, couple of weeks, I looked like, okay, he went out after Gorilla Mine, then he goes after Alpha Lion, where everybody's kissing ass, and he doesn't do it again, this is the beauty about it. His approach is not aggressive. He
Yeah.
questions it and he points out and he explains it. And if he disagrees, he actually states why. And I mean, he went after Infinites as well. Those are all like pretty big brand. And I'm not gonna say that Gorilla Mind is a bad brand. I actually like that brand, but I myself, just like him, I have questions because I don't agree with everything that they do. And I was, while everybody started defending and attacking him in a way because of Alpha Lion, I was like, but he's not wrong. He
Yep.
pointed out to something, he started comparing prices, which was legit comparison. And then he questioned some of the ingredients and the formula itself. And people know that it was actually the truth. I mean, well, everybody's kissing ass because I understand, and we've seen this. People are kissing ass because, oh, it's a big company. They might go after me. They have a big army of fans that probably gonna jump me and they're gonna criticize me. But the thing is that if you're speaking the truth and if you're speaking facts, you should stick to them. And
Yep.
maybe out of 10 so-called fans, maybe you're gonna trigger at least one or two who are gonna be like, hold on a second, maybe he's right. So you just help two guys save their money and avoid buying something questionable or underdosed or not, or maybe poorly formulated. Because let's be honest, as he just admitted, he was not that knowledgeable 2 years ago. I mean, he was 15. How could he be? But it takes a lot of reading, a lot of research. I still read. I still research all the time. I don't know everything. I mean, there are things that people will send me something like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I read about it, and I'm like, "Wow, this stuff is pretty good." I mean, where was I before? You can't claim that you know everything, that you're an expert. None of us are. I mean, just look at what happened with creatine. 2, 3 years ago, creatine was the enemy for majority of people. It causes kidney damage. It's going to give you cancer. It's going to kill you. It's, you can't use more than 5 grams. You have to cycle it. Now, all of a sudden, is recommended to pregnant women.
Yep.
I mean, look how everything flipped. And I'm pretty sure that knowledge and the information was there 2 years ago, but nobody bothered to look, because some idiot said somewhere that that you're going to shut down your kidneys and that you're going to have water retention and whatnot on creatine and it's bad for you. All it takes is just one idiot to say it. Same thing as we witnessed with caffeine for generations now. It's going to give you vasoconstriction. It's bullshit. But you know what? As much as we say it's bullshit, we still the minority. There's still a lot of people that firmly believe that vasoconstriction is bad for bodybuilding and high caffeine dose will kill you or something like that because nobody gets into specifics of what it actually does. Nobody bothers to read. And if Jay Cutler said it, must be true. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So, Robert, you brought up creatine. A question that came in: are we kind of hitting a plateau with the different uses and delivery systems of creatine? Or maybe Pranav, I'll ask you as well, because I feel like everything you open up now, protein is now back into energy drinks, which we know is kind of almost bunk, or delivery systems. I mean, are we finally tipping that scale? Like creatine's creatine.
Exactly. Well, you just answered pretty much the whole thing. Creatine is creatine. It's beneficial. It's good for you. Use it. And that's pretty much it. But in terms of like, sometimes like simple is not necessarily bad. I mean,
Yep.
creatine monohydrate, it's proven to work, but now we see creatine peptides, super creatines, creatine plus, creatine this. I'm not against having creatine in a formula and maybe, shameless plug about Create Smash. But Create Smash is a formula that contains creatine with other beneficial ingredients that not necessarily make creatine better. It's just a good product that contains creatine as part of the formula. But it's not like other ingredients all of a sudden are making creatine super creatine. No, it's the same ingredient. It's exactly the same ingredient as just part of, you can make a beautiful dish, right? I mean, I'm not a great cook, but you can have a beautiful dish with multiple different ingredients. Those ingredients are good. It's not that ingredients are becoming better ingredients in that dish. It's just that it works together to create a good dish, a good product. That's
Yep.
all it is. But don't, try to make it sound like creatine all of a sudden, is a super creatine. No, it's the same ingredient. It works, it has multiple purposes. Use it and you're good. Don't overcomplicate it. The reason is with the creatine gummies, creatine peptides, creatine plus, creatine that is 700% better creatine. I mean, that's just stupid. They're just stupid and it has to stop. But obviously, we know why they're doing it, and that's it.
Pranav, do you want to? You can feel free to
Yeah, I
chime in.
mean,
Go ahead. Give your
I
two
mean, I
cents.
agree with that as well because creatine itself it works perfectly fine. It's like with citrulline and the whatever citrulline that they put in the new Infidus pre-workout, like it's like citrulline something, whatever. It's like a peptide, and I mean, like, do we really need to go that far? Because at that point, like, how much benefit are you really getting compared to the cost that you're paying for it? Because it's like Rob was saying with the dishes, like it's fine, you have your basic ingredients, but it's like when you want to make like a strawberry jam, but you get like the $100 strawberry from Japan, which is for like one strawberry. Like, do you really need to have that to make a good strawberry jam? Like, no. And for that price that you're paying and the premium, it's likely not worth it for a lot of people. And also the marketing that goes behind it, like these studies that a lot of the companies use to back up their claims, a lot of them, when you go to look for them, either they're like locked behind the company itself, or if they are publicly accessible, the methodology is super flawed.
Yeah.
And there's also a very big bias because usually it's written, or the study is written by someone who works at the company, or it is funded by the company. So there's just like huge flaws behind these studies that these companies use. So it's like at the end of the day, there's really no benefit from going to the lengths to get those like extra beneficial creatines. They're all just really gimmicks.
Rob, what do you feel? And Rob will chime in here. Have you gone down the peptides rabbit hole? Not the BPCs, not the Reddits and stuff, but more of the like the amino acid peptides. Like, what are your thoughts, or have you gone down that rabbit hole yet?
Yes, I have gone down that road. I made a video on V1 Nutra's peptide pump a few days ago, and my main dislike with it is if you look at it head on, they aren't lying, but it is very misleading because when a lot of people think about peptides, they think about stuff like the injectable ones, which have like 30, 40 chains of amino acids. But when you look at stuff like dipeptides or tripeptides that only have like 2 to 3 amino acids, like it's preying on the people who think peptides are things like Bretta. But when they see something like peptide pumps, they think it's going to give some like magical effect. But in reality, it's really just like 2 to 3 amino acids. Because if you go by that logic, Vasodar AP, a very well-known trademark ingredient, is also a peptide. I mean, we have collagen peptides, and it just getting to the point where having these ingredients in, like the special creatine, is just ramping up the cost so much for like pretty much no benefit whatsoever. Like Infinus had their peptide pre-workout whatever, and it's the same price as their whole other lineup. But because they have that one peptide ingredient, the citrulline peptide, it's the overall formula is a lot worse than their other offerings, but it's the same exact price just because of that one ingredient. And we already know citrulline works perfectly fine, just purely. So having that citrulline peptide is really not going to provide much benefits. Like we don't have much data on that, and it just makes the overall formula a lot worse. So you're paying more for a worse product.
So our favorite flavor superhero is watching, and she just commented. Finally, someone that's honest and straightforward. Obviously, talking about you, Pranav, and that's
Yeah,
Masha.
she's a big fan.
Yeah, I love Mashi too. She's also very straightforward, and like no bullshit. And products as well, flavoring. I mean, the flavoring just incredible that like I don't know how Masha does it, especially with stuff like the pre-workouts because Ronin, Hooligan B50 as well, like they were pretty abysmal. But once I started getting back into Apollon, like with Time Cop, I was so surprised by the taste. And I got Masha's Peach with the Enigma and loving that as well. And just everything recently. I mean, Assassin, Grape Assassin. I don't know how it. I can sip on Assassin as a juice, and I don't know how
Crazy.
she was able to make that happen with the amount of actives that are in there.
Pranav, when you're looking at pre-workouts, is there a certain ingredient or ingredients that like really light you up?
Um, it's not really what lights me up, but what turns me off.
Okay.
Because um, a lot of these ingredients are proven to work, right? But it's the cheaper alternatives like choline bitartrate or ingredient. I mean, DMAE is kind of what kind of something I'm on the fence about because a lot of people have anecdotal evidence behind its effects, but I haven't tried it by itself, like isolated, so I don't know its isolated effects. But also, there isn't much data on it because I like to go off subjective data, like studies, for my basis of knowledge. So there isn't much on DMA. So that's something I'm on the line about. And then there's obviously the proprietary blends. So just these, and citrulline malate is another big one. So it's kind of those ingredients that turn me off rather than something I'm looking for because the baseline, a lot of these pre-workouts have like these decent ingredients, but it's more so about the dosing and how they work together.
So, Rob, somebody asked earlier, love seeing Marina and Masha's content. Both represent Apollon very well, but completely different. Are they friends, behind the scenes, or how close are they behind the scenes?
Yeah, that's a cool question. Um, yeah, they are friends. They definitely are friends, and they actually get along beautifully. And a lot of people, and sometimes Marina will bring it up. She goes, "People think I'm boring," and I can see it as a valid point because obviously with her content and what she is doing for Apollon, it's a little bit more strict. It's more scientific. It's more pharmaceutical, so I can see like there is a certain presentation. It's like a teacher that you see in school, and you think like, oh, this teacher in real life is also like a teacher. He's very, very boring, but behind the scenes, actually, he's a party animal. So now Marina's personality, and you've met her. She's very down to earth. She's funny. She has a great sense of humor. Masha is. What you see is what you get, but they get along great, and I've been saying it for a while. I mean, some of the best content we had is when the two of them did video last year, and it was absolutely hilarious. So I think from a business perspective, having two of them represent the brand. Most of the brands, when they're represented by athletes or they're represented by certain personalities, they are pretty much the same. They almost like, they have like a uniform where they have to be a certain way. I think that this what makes Apollon different, is the fact that Marina and Masha, they bring something different to the table. So, everyone, each and everyone has, their own fan base, so to speak. So I think it's great. It's just like Pranav. I mean, the reason why I noticed him is his age. Way, way, way. I mean, I'm not going to say that, guys his age are stupid or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. But the intelligence that he brings to the table and, sheer knowledge, which is very, very impressive. And even now, I was like, okay, let me chime in terms of peptides and what he had to say. I had nothing to say. I had nothing to add. He actually said exactly what I would say, maybe even better. Um, so I think that having people like that represent Apollon, that's what makes Apollon unique. Different ages. Masha is Masha, and we already know her content that is very unique, so to speak. But you have to let her be. Yeah, you have to let her be who she is. And I think the fact that we're, I would never tell anyone how to represent a pawn, because if they're on a team, they already know the brand, they already know what and how they can say and what they can do. But I think that yeah, Masha and Marina, I think they great. They definitely friends in real life, but what they bring to the table, very very different perspective and different content is only helping the brand. Because, for example, I am 51, so when I speak to the audience, I think that I will relate more to the late 30s, maybe 60s group. But somebody like Pranav, who has admitted that he used C4. I've used C4. We all use C4. But the younger audience and the younger crowd will probably listen to him before they listen to me. And I think that he is more than capable of explaining the benefits, say, for example, or the difference. Let's not compare them like that, but the difference between Apollon and C4. Or if somebody's going to ask him, like, why do I have to pay $60 for bare knuckle, but C4 is going to cost me half that price? I think if it's going to come from him and it's going to be an honest explanation and an honest answer, I think that, from a business perspective, it's great, but also for giving the knowledge to the audience and to his audience, I think it's great too. It's a win-win situation for everyone. So I think having representatives of the brand, there are different ages, different attitudes, different perspective. I think it's great. I'm a huge soccer fan. On the field, you have 11 players. Each and every one has a different role. Somebody is attacker, somebody is a defender, somebody is a goalkeeper, but they all on the same team. They representing the same team, and that's what makes them tick.
I think sometimes companies kind of hire clones of the owner or whatnot. And again, as you hit it on the head, you've got Masha and Marina, but let's not forget Carolina and yourself. Like if you look at all four of you folks in your bios and your resumes, you are completely polar opposite, like completely different spectrums. And I think as a
Exactly.
group, that's what people
Exactly.
like. As a
Exactly.
group,
And
that's
I
what people
think
like.
that that's what makes us stand out. We just literally talked about this a few days ago. I think that Kay has to do what Kay does. I have to do what I do. Marina, what she does, and Masha is Masha. And then you have somebody like, Chris, Eurosubs, or you have somebody like Pranav, and you have those guys or some of the athletes. They all different, but they all add to that, like I said, that main dish of different ingredients that work great together and make the dish better. And I think that this is, besides the formulas and whatnot, I think that's what makes us stand out.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that, so we're slowly seeing Marina step out of the shadows. Will we continue to see more of her?
Well, you already know. I mean, you're a close family friend, so to speak. And you've been here, and you know all of us. Marina obviously running, the pharmacy, so she's 6 days a week. She's very very busy with that. Nevertheless, of course, Apollon Nutrition is a major part of her life, and she's part of a poem. So I think that at this point, especially with something like the specialist and cyclone and things that are coming out, I think that people want to hear from her. I think even collaborations in terms of content out there, I think having Marina and me, or Marina and Pranav, and Marina and Masha, I think that it's very, very important and it adds to it. But I think we're gonna see more of her, and I think we need to see more of her because it's very important. I mean, her name is on each and every container or health supplement, and now pre-workout as well. And Cyclone is something that definitely needs a very, very unique approach. That's a pre-workout that, in my personal opinion, it's one of the best pre-workouts currently on the market, bar none. For what it represents, it's just an amazing, amazing experience, an amazing formula, and very innovative. But the thing is, without her, being behind it, and then because it is a pre-workout, I have to step in and give my perspective, and somebody again like Pranav has to step in and explain. Especially considering, as he admitted rightfully, he loves high stim products. But here's the thing: he also understands formulas. He understands ingredients. So if somebody like him is going to come and say, like, you know what, I prefer assassin. That's my jam. That's something that I like. But Cyclone is for this audience, and here is why. And he explains it to them. I think, again, it's a win win situation from a different perspective.
Pranav, I apologize if I didn't see it, but did you review your tricyclone?
No, I have not tried cycling personally yet, but I
Okay.
did make a video with like the breakdown of the label.
Okay.
And yeah, I explained it how, because from the start when cycling was revealed, I told Rob like I believe in it. I think like once it starts to get a lot of traction, it's definitely gonna blow up because um, it's a very special product, I'd say, because it's more towards a niche that gets very overlooked, and that's the general gym goer that wants to work out to benefit their health, and they have a family that they go to, they have like a job, and they don't want something that will negatively impact their life. And because of this whole stigma around pre-workouts and how they make you all cracked out, they give a huge crash. I think a lot of these average gym goers really avoid pre-workouts and they switch to things like coffee because that's proven to work. But with something like Cyclone, which not only has like your natural caffeine from coffee, it also has a lot of these nootropics and ingredients that are beneficial for your brain health, and they're also very good antioxidants. So not only will they help with cognitive decline as you get older, because things like coenzyme Q10, and I'm not sure what the formula is off the top of my head, but there are a couple stuff in there that are just going to help with your plasticity and long-term brain health. And there's also endurance stuff in there that's going to be beneficial for maybe some people who like to do need more high endurance training. And again, there's no fillers in there. There's no beta-alanine because a lot of people dislike beta-alanine, especially the older generation. And then obviously there's creatine in there. I mean, my stance on creatine is pretty neutral because I think that a lot of people at this time just take it by itself. But I mean, it doesn't really hurt to have it in there as long as it doesn't ramp up the cost too much. And it's also something that can benefit people if they are already taking creatine, because I know a lot of people still aren't. So that's another bonus in there. And again, there's from what I've heard, again, taste thanks to Maria is or Masha is obviously fantastic. And then Maria also did a great job with formulating that, and it's just overall a great product in my eyes. Even though I haven't tried it, maybe in the future I'll end up trying it. But based off of the objective facts on the label, I just think it's fantastic.
Sounds like it might have to be a two scooper for you though, if I'm hearing
Oof,
right.
maybe.
So somebody's chiming in here, and thank you for the question here, Rob. What is the first pre-workout you remember using?
Oh, wow. You know
Was there in
what?
the
I think, no, I think that the first maybe, remember that I think they tried to re-release it, the one that had ephedrine in it, simple orange, or was it orange something?
Ultimate Orange? Ultimate
Bitter
Orange.
Ultimate
orange,
Orange, yeah.
norepinephrine.
Oh, yeah. I think actually they had ephedra, like the one
Yes,
that
they
it
did.
got banned. I think so. The original had that, and I mean, based on what I remember, obviously it wasn't a great pre-workout in terms of like the pump and the focus and all that. It was just a very strong energy drink.
Energy.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was just strong energy drink because it had nothing in it that it's like people talk about was that Jack 3D. I mean, let's be honest, that product was shit. There was nothing in it,
Yeah.
but it had DMAA, so obviously it would light you up to a point where you would have the energy, which is good because you do have a great workout and you definitely energized, and it definitely is going to light you up. So it's good. But in terms of if you wanted like an overall uh, well balanced pre workout where it would hit all, will check all the marks like, focus and pump and whatnot and performance. Obviously, it didn't have it. I mean, it didn't have
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
in it. It just was very powerful, very strong. And I think, honestly, today, my opinion, because Ronin didn't have any pump ingredient whatsoever. It was just very strong on euphoria and it was very strong on energy. I will go ahead and say that Ronin would whoop Jack 3D's ass easily. It would not
Yeah.
even be a contest, in terms of just sheer power and energy.
For me, I'm going to date myself. It was actually Rip Fuel by Twin Lab. There was a
Mm.
powdered version of it, and I used that for competition. So I don't know if I consider it a fat burn, like a pre-workout. There's caffeine, aspirin, ephedrine, and maybe some other flavoring and stuff. But Pranav, did you say the earlier C4 was your first?
Yes, the earlier C4 was my first pre-workout.
Okay. So, Pranav, do you ever review proteins at all, or no? Is protein like not on your list? What if
I
you're interested
mean,
in your protein?
the thing with protein is that I get a lot through my diet, so I don't really have the need to kind of supplement through
Okay.
protein. Like I have a couple of tubs. I have a tub of Panda Sups, I think that, but I just don't really get to use it because I get enough protein from my diet. But also, I'm just too lazy to mix it up.
See, that's what I like about him. An honest answer. That's an honest answer. I mean, what else do you want? The guy basically goes ahead, he reviews products, and he says, like, I don't really use protein powders. And I have absolutely zero problem with that. I mean, for somebody who makes protein powders, I think that that's the answer that I would expect. You know, if it's an honest answer, why not? I mean, if it doesn't review it, it doesn't review it.
So, Robert, are we hitting? And I know we discussed this. Are we hitting finally a plateau where you've got one of your products that's in the lower 60s? There's other companies now that have protein powders that are almost hitting $70 for a 2 pound 25. Is there going to be a plateau where people are gonna be like, I'm out. I can't use it anymore.
Well, the thing is that if we were talking about the protein powders, I'm kind of gonna defend the industry here. They kind of fucked in a way with the prices of protein going through the roof. It's
Yep.
literally not their fault. I can tell you that we are paying almost twice as much for protein ourselves than we used to pay maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yep.
And if we were selling, say, for example, isolate for $50 or $55, not that the price is double, and it is double, 100% it is double. I mean, we can't really charge or $110 for a tub of protein. So we still maybe some of the companies will increase it by $5 or $10 at the most. But the problem comes down to wholesale. When selling it to stores, the stores want to make profit. So
Yes.
you can't really increase the price too much when you're only increasing at retail for $5, 10 bucks. So you're still making money on a direct to consumer, but in terms of wholesale, I know the brands are definitely suffering right now. It's not easy for them. It seems like they're greedy. And I had few emails. We had few emails to customer service where people like, you robbing people blind. You know what? You ripping them off by increasing it by $5. I'm like, yeah. I mean, and you obviously trying to be respectful and polite, but some of them are going as far as insults. We had somebody. You're gonna laugh at this, but I'm actually very, very serious. Somebody sent an email to customer service. You ripping people off, you fucking Trump supporters. I'm like, what? Like, where did this come from? Like, what does that have to do with anything? I'm like, Trump supporters, like, yeah. But yeah, we got that. It was like a whole rant about Trump and everything, and that we are Trump supporters, and that's the reason why we increased the prices of protein by $5. And you know, it's obviously you can't. That's the reason why I don't do customer support, because I would be terrible. I would be absolutely horrible for that. But reading that, I was like, this is pissing me off. But at the same time, it's making me laugh too. So but you have to deal with it. I mean, that just comes with the territory where the prices of protein right now is just ridiculous. I did talk to the manufacturer 2 or 3 days ago, and they expect like every quarter of the year the prices kept going up.
Yeah.
So they saying that Q4 maybe the prices are not going to go up, because there's nowhere else to go. I mean, it's just like ridiculous now. They even said maybe it will drop slightly, but they will never go back to original. I mean, just not going to happen.
I can see you behind customer service every time. F off, respond. F off,
Oh,
respond.
I would, I mean, it just gets to that point where you're like, me. It's very hard for me to do customer service, because I'm a person who, it's not necessarily, I'm perceived as aggressive, but to me it's common sense. And sometimes you get questions and you have to answer them. Like on a daily basis, I will get tons, and I mean tons of DMs and questions like, what flavor you should do? You should do this flavor. I'm like, I understand that you have a preference, but really it doesn't work that way.
Yep.
And then, oh, what ingredient is missing? This ingredient is missing from your formula, or you should remove this ingredient because I don't like it. I'm like, doesn't really work that way. It's very hard. So it's difficult. Or you're gonna have somebody walk into the gym and ask for something ridiculous and then throw at the end, customer is always right. I'm like, no, no,
No.
no, definitely not here. You're not always right. So it's for me personally, it's very, very challenging, especially if something like common sense. Again, like I absolutely love the fact that when like Pranav actually made me change my mind. He posted um he posted something about what is that company Nutricost, right? Nutricost.
Oh, right, Nutricos, yes.
Yeah, he posted a pre-workout and he goes, "This is a pretty good pre-workout." I'm looking at the pre-workout. I'm like, "Is he high? Because this is shit." I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with him?" But then I looked into it, and he was not trying to say that it's a good pre workout. He was trying to say that it's a good pre workout for what they asking in terms of price. And I
Yes.
looked at the price, and the price was like $20 or something like
Yeah,
that. And I looked at the pre workout. I'm like, actually, for $20, that's a pretty good pre
Yeah.
workout. I was like, this is what's needed. And then he posted something about Alpha Line, and if you look at the Alpha Line, formula, it's not great. It's definitely not great. And to me, it's actually a step down from what I'm used to. I used to actually like the brand a lot, except the S7 that they used often. But other than that, I thought that they were pretty good, in my opinion. And I'm looking at the formula, I'm like, it's not good, but it's not really bad. But he's bashing it. I'm like, why the fuck is he bashing this product? But again, I'm looking at it, and then I noticed because he compared it to another pre-workout. I think it was like a pro
yeah,
that was identical price, and I see he's getting attacked. He's getting attacked for the fact that he goes like, well, this is $60 and this is $60. It just makes no sense. Why would you pay the same money for a pre-workout that is clearly not as good? I mean, they're
Yeah.
not even close. They're not even in the same vicinity. I was like, again, it's a very valid point, because you can base your review. Everybody is going on fucking flavors. This guy went about the price and he goes like, well, it's very justified. It's the same thing as when I've seen not a lot, but I've seen like two or three comments somewhere that bare knuckle is expensive. But then I look at him. I mean, he's actually going like this right now. I'm like, and I had that from first time I had from our distributors from Uzbekistan. They were picking between Apollon Gym Classic and bare knuckle and Assassin. And again, in Uzbekistan, the salaries are not that high. The average salary is like I think like two, three, $400 a month. So, I mean,
Wow.
they're not doing phenomenal, and yet these guys are ordering Assassin and Bare Knuckle, and I'm like, guys, I'm like, you sure you want this? I mean, it's expensive. I said, why don't you go for Apollo Gym Classic? I mean, it seems like for the money that we're charging, that's ideal. And the guy goes to me, he says, no, he says Assassin and Bare Knuckle are cheap. I'm like, the fuck? I said, that's double the price. And he goes, yeah. He says, but look at the half a scoop. That's 40 servings. 40 servings, he says, of bare knuckle or assassin still blows out, Apollon Gym Classic out of the water. I'm like, that's a legit point. He goes to me,
Yeah.
so assassin, he goes, is actually cheap. I was like, okay, so Pranav is actually doing exactly the same, where he goes, well, here's the price, and this is what you're getting for the price. And I think that that's the angle that I don't even think anyone is really paying attention to, and everybody's jumping him. I'm like, yeah, okay, you look stupid because he's actually right. Why are you attacking him when he actually proves to you the point that you're wasting money on a product that is clearly inferior, and not just by like 5-10%. We're talking by 30-40-50% inferior. You getting ripped off.
Yeah.
yeah. And
So
I kind of, oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Pranav. No, please go.
I kind of want to go off of the offline thing because it's kind of ironic because a lot of these people in the industry are there just for the money. But the one thing that they glance over when talking about these products is the cost of them and what you're getting for the cost. And another thing I want to talk about is what Rob mentioned at the start of this podcast is how a lot of people think that Apollon is overdosed on a lot of things. But again, I disagree with that because I think that they're properly dosed. And someone brought up in my comments on the Alpha Line video how you won't notice the effects of, or you won't feel the effects of 4 grams of citrulline in the Alpha Line compared to the 10 gram citrulline in the in Lycopro. And I'm like, that's kind of a weird thing to go off of because your feel is very, very subjective. What you feel won't really reflect what's going on inside of your body. So that's another scenario I could bring up the studies because I went on PubMed and I found studies that had these dose response effects of citrulline, and they tested 2 grams of citrulline with 5 grams to 10 grams to 15 grams, and the plasma volume of the citrulline was obviously greater in the 10 grams compared to the 5 grams, and when you have greater plasma volume of citrulline, that means it'll be able to convert into arginine, which will have improved nitric oxide production.
Class was just in session, folks. I'm going to use that as a loop here.
Yeah, but that's the reason. Like it's dangerous to attack somebody who has knowledge because you're gonna make yourself look like a fool. I mean, I remember back in the day even talking to Robert Shinetsky, and he is, I think that Pranav is Robert Shinetsky V.2. But we too, and the thing is that when Robert said to me, he goes, "Listen, there are studies confirming citrulline works at 3 grams. It does." He says 3 grams is a nice, starting point. But again, 3 grams versus 6 grams, there is a difference.
Yeah.
6 grams versus 8 or 10, there is a difference. There is definitely a difference. Yes, there is a limit how high you can go or how comfortable you're going to feel, without a doubt. I mean, it might make you run to the bathroom past 10 grams. But the bottom line is there is definitely a difference. And that's the reason why, when it comes to serving sizes, where people say, like, oh, 10 grams or 20 grams of serving size is more than enough. Says who? I mean,
Yeah.
show me one literature where we go based on serving size, because that's just ridiculous. I mean, depends what you want in your pre-workout. If you want in your pre-workout just to smack you in the face, then go and get insane labs, shitload of caffeine, alpha yo, and you will feel it for sure. But if you want certain benefits, you want pump, you want transparency, you want focus ingredients, and you want a certain dosage, all those things, they definitely add up. They add up and they creating a hefty scoop. And it can be 20 grams, it can be 30 grams, it can be 40 grams, it can possibly be more. And I'm working on something right now that I will tell you off the air that is going to be more than 40. And once I tell you what it is, you're going to be like, especially the two of you, you're going to go like, oh shit, that makes perfect sense. So the thing is that he's right. He's right. There is a difference, and there is a difference. It's not just about caffeine. Yes, 200 milligram of caffeine and 600 milligram, you will definitely feel the difference. But
Yeah.
so is other ingredients. Definitely, there are other ingredients that you beta alanine. I would say 3.2 and 6.4. I probably feel about the same, but I mean, it accumulates in your body over a period of time. I believe the loading phase is, if I'm not mistaken, it's
Like
28
2 weeks.
days. Yeah, 28 or 30 days or
2 weeks, yeah.
yeah. So it's not about that. I mean, maybe taking creatine 5 grams and 10 grams, maybe immediately you're not going to feel any difference, but there is a difference, and we have data to support that there is a difference based on dose.
So then, Robert, I'm going to put you on the spot. When we're talking pre-workouts here, take out what you just mentioned. You tell us off air. I don't know what it is. Do you have a cliff whether I'm not going to put any more than X amount of ingredients or an X amount of scoop size? Or does it even
Never.
matter to you when you're okay?
Never. I never look into it. I have a formula in mind, like for example, Pranav mentioned Ronin, right? So I'm working on Ronin V2 for 2027. I'm actually going to show it to Pranav later on so he can have a look at it. I just look at it from a perspective. He's clearly the customer for it. There are people who will not touch even half a scoop of that, which is fine. It's not for everyone. But somebody like him, who would be like the target audience, and there are people who like that kind of pre-workout. If he wants it better, that we can make it better. Anything you can make, you can always make a product better. So the thing is that if I have a Ronin in mind, or I have Hooligan in my mind, I know what types of pre-workouts they are. So I look at the formula, and if I'm trying to improve it, I'm going to try to improve based on what they represent, not based on how many grams the serving is. That's just, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go 100 grams or 80 or something like really ridiculous. I'm not going to go there. But I would say 10 grams, 20 grams, 30, 40, maybe 50. I think it's still
Okay.
within the range. And also, don't forget, most of our pre workouts, especially in the last 2 years, we've been doing a legit 20, 40 servings. So you can go half a scoop. Nobody's stopping you. You can go half a serving and you're still going to get efficacious dosage. So it's a win win situation. At the end of the day, I can even give you C4, right? What's the average? I don't know, 10 grams, 20 grams, or something like that per serving. I just sold you a container. And, you think, okay, it's a little weak. It doesn't have what I want. You can double scoop it. Nobody's going to stop you. Once it's in your possession, you can go 2 scoops. I mean, you can fucking go the whole half a container if you want. I can stop you. I cannot control you. You're on your own. If that's going to work for you, fine. I mean, you're an adult, you make your own choices, and you should read the label. You should read the label because too much of something is not good for you. And that's with anything in life. You should be the one who should make, the choice, but your choice should be based on knowledge. We go to the movies. Typically, we will watch the trailer. Typically, we would probably, read a couple of reviews or what people say, what the buzz is, word of mouth. And then we will make a choice if that particular movie is for us or not. And not only that, we can go to the movies together. Does not mean that all of us are going to like it because we
Sure.
have different needs. We have different, preferences. So you choose what works for you. And that's it. And the example of pre-workouts costing, $60, but one of them has 5 grams or 4 grams of citrulline and pretty much half of everything that the other pre-workout has, but they cost the same money. I think it's worth pointing out. It's worth pointing out, like, guys, you're getting double for the same money. So one of them clearly is ripping you off.
So our good mutual friend Chris Robot Dinosaur is his 3 grams versus 10 grams of citrulline is like the difference between getting to first base and going back to the apartment on a date.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
So Pranav, as you wind down here, I don't know. You said you might have some questions, or do you want to throw some things out here, or
Yeah, I mean, one thing that has been getting a lot of attention is with theanine in pre-workouts. And I mean, I know both of y'all have a very strong stance against it, and so do I. But I kind of want to give my perspective because I think that this was kind of overlooked because theanine in energy drinks is one thing that I actually support because unlike pre-workouts that are have very have a use case for workouts, energy drinks are one thing that are used very recreationally. Like people just have them day to day and multiple times a day. And again, not everyone can handle caffeine. And with theanine, it kind of opens up a lot of different users because it'll help bring in more people to use these energy drinks and they won't feel the jitters. Because if there wasn't theanine, then only the people who don't get the jitters from caffeine can have energy drinks because the people who do get jitters won't be able to handle it. But with
okay.
the addition of theanine, again, it opens up the door to a lot of different customers. So that's one of the few areas where I actually support the use of creatine in a lot of these energy products.
Well,
So
I,
now,
I think that, you know what, you'll be surprised, but I actually agree with you. And that comes from, again, there are a couple of people that influenced me and I learned from. And one of them, like I mentioned him already 2 or 3 times here, was Robert Chinetsky. And we talked about this, and I always question theanine in pre-workouts, right? Like in pre-workouts specifically. And to me personally, it made zero sense. And we really, really, really got into it where we were like reading and researching. And so the whole point was with theanine, for example, is, to avoid the jitters and to make sure that the caffeine sort of feels smooth. And we came to the same conclusion, pretty much the same. Theanine in something like a nootropic, which energy drink in a way is, sort of. And theanine in a sleep or calming formula or something like that is a very great ingredient. It's a phenomenal ingredient that definitely works. In pre-workouts, we have, for example, 600 milligram of caffeine, like Assassin has, right? The whole point of somebody taking 600 milligram of 600 milligram of caffeine and Assassin formula is obviously all the ingredients they come together and they kind of make you run through the wall, like you feel that. And the main reason had nothing to do with jitters. So initially, pretty much all the companies explained the same very reason for the use of theanine, and it wasn't jitters; it was actually the crash, where they said like, oh, you use caffeine and you're gonna crash badly. The reality is, from a common sense perspective, is, for example, if you take something like caffeine citrate, right? So caffeine citrate like acts very, very fast. That's the reason why you don't see citrate by itself in majority, not majority, and actually I haven't seen it ever in any pre-workout, just citrate. Why? Because you will, just common sense, you will crash. It will just hit you in the face and then disappear. That's it. But if you look at something like caffeine anhydrous, right? It stays in your body for a good couple of hours. In reality, you don't need to actually come down from it because it will wind out by itself progressively, very, very slow. And that's the reason when people drink coffee, you never hear about anyone crashing from coffee. It just doesn't happen. They have the spike, and then it kind of winds out, and then they have coffee whenever they need again, and that's it. So caffeine anhydrous and theanine just makes no sense, because if you want that strong hit of say 300, 400, 500, or 600 milligram of caffeine, you specifically want that hit. You specifically want that powerful experience. And if you're really worried about, crashing, then this is where dicaffeine male comes in perfectly well, because it's just going to smoothly drop you very, very slow during the course of time. So having theanine there is, like, from a common sense perspective, is completely unnecessary. Plus, on top of it, when you have guys going out to party and they take something like recreational drugs, they do it specifically is to get high. They want to get that energy, they want that high. You will not see them popping something that makes them high and Xanax. It just doesn't make any sense. They specifically want to be high. Just like when you have somebody on a long flight, typically a lot of people will take something like Ambien, or they will take Xanax, is to sleep on a plane and to relax. So you will not see them take Xanax and pop a few caffeine pills. It just, again, it makes no sense because they complete opposite. Theanine and caffeine, or theanine and nootropics, they definitely work. They definitely work, and they can create a very nice experience, because it's when it's a nootropic, it's not about caffeine. It's about actually that feel, that buzz, that focus, that concentration. So that's where rhodiola and all those things, they do come together. Canna, I've used Canna in a pre-workout. I was like, why the fuck am I using Canna in a pre-workout? Like, what does it do? Specifically for people that want to have that high. So I think that theanine used in a energy drink, especially to your point, like you said, when people have energy drinks, and I saw it at the gym, they don't just have one, they have two, three, sometimes like five a day. They popping one after another. I think that this is where theanine calms things down a little bit better and balances it out very, very well. And again, one of the things that you pointed out is that energy drinks cater mostly to average Joe, people that don't necessarily use assassin. That's people that, and why people react negatively, not just to caffeine in terms of like jitters, but they also react negatively to beta alanine. Beta alanine is not a stimulant, but once they start getting those tingles, they're like, what the fuck is going on with me? Am I dying? Do I have a heart attack? Like, what's going on? That's the reason why those things, for an average Joe, they will prefer to avoid and not to feel that, your skin crawling and stuff like that. So I think theanine is a great ingredient. It's just, especially when I see it, say, for example, in a pre workout, and I have seen it in a pre workout formula where you see 200 or 300 milligram of caffeine and 400 milligram of theanine. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what is the purpose? One canceling basically the other one. If you want a low stim product, they exist. If you want a high stim product, specifically because you want to feel high and you want to feel that aggression, you have that. Like, for example, I'm not an assassin type of guy. I can have it and I enjoy it from time to time. But for me, something, believe it or not, that has 300 milligram of caffeine is more than enough. I definitely don't need theanine in it. And I feel like, people are typically, and especially in supplement industry, they like sheep. They like copying each other. Oh, he
Yep.
put theanine in it. How much is it? Oh, it's actually a cheap ingredient. Let me include it as well because, I have now more ingredients on the label. So I think that that's the reason why in pre-workouts, I don't see a reason for it whatsoever. But in nootropic setting, in sleep formula, in relaxation formulas, I think that that's one of the best ingredients.
So, Pranav, let me ask you this then, because it sounds like you're in favor of energy drinks, but are you in favor of actual pre-workout powders? I don't know if you answered that aspect.
What do you mean pre-workout powders?
Well, you said you're in favor of theanine in energy drinks. I'm sorry, in
Hmm.
energy drinks. But
Yeah.
how do you feel about it in pre-workouts? Or you
Oh,
Oh,
don't
he
I
answered that.
despise it because one
Yeah.
okay,
thing is that it actually makes you weaker. So we have data that
okay,
compares caffeine plus theanine, caffeine by itself, and theanine by itself. And we all know like there's so much data on caffeine by itself on sports performance on how it helps improve performance. But when you compare the placebo group to the caffeine and theanine group, they were pretty much the exact same in performance.
okay.
And the theanine group was even lower than the placebo group. And then this is on isometric force for like a lot of these different muscle groups. But I mean, why would you want to be weaker on with you having you're taking your pre-workout? Like that's just a stupid kind of ideology. And this is mostly due to it increasing your serotonin levels and it making you calmer. And all of these things just reduce your force output. And this is not something that you want in a pre-workout. It's supposed to help you be energized and also and I mean as a byproduct help you build more muscle because you're able to produce more force, just grow better.
You know what?
So,
And that's actually a perfect answer because that's not only scientific answer, but it also from a common sense perspective. It's sometimes I think we put ingredients. I mean, we the supplement industry puts ingredients in a pre workout just because somebody else did it. Oh, he did it. I'll do it too. And you know what? I'm guilty as charged as well. I did put, and I said it numerous times, I did put S7 without even knowing or really getting into it because I was so inexperienced. I put it in a pre workout. I did put Norvalin in a pre workout. Not only that, I put Yohimbe HCl. And I remember, like, I think David was, look, he's laughing at me already. Um, David, I think Frederickson, I think that was him, who goes to me, why do you have Yohimbe HCl? He says in your pre workout. I'm like, why not? He goes to me, why, yes. He says, you have alpha yohimbe that definitely going to be felt. He says, and then you have that one. He says, why? And I like started reading about it and actually doing research. And then I admitted myself, I was like, I did it because somebody else did it. I thought it looked kind of cool, but it was completely unnecessary. Like, why was it there? So I think that those things where people have to use their brain and like, does that belong in a pre-workout? For a while, again, myself included, people were using citrulline malate. Why? Well, because it's superior to pure citrulline. Well, actually, it's not. And the literature is right there. You know, but then you look at the fact, and the facts will tell you when you go to the manufacturer. Number one, citrulline malate tastes a little bit better, and number two, it's cheaper. It's cheaper, and then people look at the label and they say, "Well, citrulline malice, 6 grams, and pure citrulline 6 grams, because it's they both 6 grams." Oh no, it's actually four. It's not six. But nobody gets into it because a lot of people just don't know. They don't realize that you're not getting six, you're getting four, and then 2 grams of citrulline malate. And this is again where reviewers should come in and say, no, citrulline malate is not a bad ingredient, but it's just cheaper, and that's the reason why they use it. And number two, if you compare six versus six, you're not actually getting six, you're getting four. And I assure you that if a consumer knows that little detail, they will look at it different because directly or indirectly, they're getting ripped off.
Pranav, not because you're a guest, and I mean this honestly. I mean, your knowledge, like, is that of like someone that's been doing this 20, 25 years. Like the way you're just rattling off like studies and dosages, and that's very impressive. I'm being completely honest, and I think Robert will agree with me.
Yes, I mean, oh yeah, go ahead.
I know. I mean, I agree with you. That's the reason why I mean, I'm gonna take credit and say I kind of discovered him because I was like, what the fuck is this? And especially coming from me, who
You're a tough critic.
Yeah, I'm not a biggest review fan, reviewers fan, but his knowledge paired with common sense, and you know what? A lot of people, myself included, pointed out to his age. Fuck his age. Who cares? Who cares if somebody is bringing knowledge, class, and such. Benefit to the industry. I mean, he's not bringing benefit to the industry because I told him somebody will probably have a hit on him. He's not going to last long.
I told you that.
Yeah, he's not going to last long. Somebody will fucking have a contract on his ass. He's already a problem. But to me, that's, I want him part of the team. This is exactly the type of guy that I think can go places and make a difference. And so, yeah, I mean, that's very impressive. I mean, I already got a few good text messages that he's phenomenal.
Pranav, the one thing Robic always says that he kind of instilled in me and Masha and others is if what you're saying is true and you can back it up with whatever details, information, hold your ground, brother. Hold your ground.
Yeah, because I mean, if you do like say what you say based off those values, like, and the other people don't, it's objective versus subjective. Like you can't really fight that.
Yeah. So, Robic, as we wind down here, we've seen some little teasers of our favorite Carolina. Do you want to share anything, or is this going to be on Stack this week, or like let a little bit of the cat out of the bag here?
I'll say Carolina can dance. That's it.
And she makes
Well,
it look good.
I'll tell you off the air.
Okay. All right. So, Pranav, I think on behalf of Robic, I want to say that we would love to have you back. I know we've only scratched the
Yeah.
surface. I know Robic has some plans. You have some plans. I want to hit the gym with my wife. But it's a pleasure, and hopefully you'll join us again in the very near future.
Yeah,
And
of course.
hopefully,
And thank you for having me.
and Chris unfortunately had a family event, and I'm always like family first. So hopefully Chris will join us again. I've got a good friend in Romania. But Pranav, for people that don't know you, where can they follow you on Instagram, social media? Plug all your outlets.
Yeah. So my TikTok is pshet, so PSHET. That's also my code for Apollon for those of you that want to use it. Shameless plug. And my Instagram is Pranabolic, so Pranabolic.
Perfect. And big sale this week on Apollon. We're doing Lionheart, buy
Yeah.
one, get one. Very high energy, great for endurance, any kind of high technical sports. Check it out at apollonnutrition.com. And Robert, it's always good seeing you, my friend.
Great, guys. Thank you so much.